My name is Dennis. I'm a marketing director with a company called Advantage Card, which is a trade loyalty program. I've been working with David, I think the first time I came across him, I first came back from Sydney after working there for 5 years. I think it was about 93, 94, 95-ish. But during that period I kept touch with a few small clients, and that relationship has continued from the mid-90s until today, and can't see it ending soon. I worked with Ogilvy and Mather years ago, and one of the things that David Ogilvy used to always say was know more than anyone else if you're ever doing a job. And media is one thing I know a little bit about, but I'm never going to know more than David does. I'm never going to know more than anyone else, and best if I just hand it over to someone who knows more than I do. And I think one of the things I really like about what David does is his background isn't just in buying media, it's in the media itself. You need someone who's been in there to know which ones are the real deals and which ones are deals that are just put on the table to make money. Knowing how to buy media the right way is one thing, but knowing what happens behind the scenes means that we get better deals. We have someone who has an understanding that the bonuses and free spots that blind people to what they're getting, so they're just looking at bottom line and saying, I'm getting 100 spots. David can actually see through and say, look, you're better off having 10 spots in the right place than 100 spots that are after, say, between 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning with radio and television, and a little bit the same with press. He knows who's looking at what, he knows when something is just a sale, and he knows when you're actually likely to get to the people that you need to get to. There's a bit of an art to this, and there's a bit of deeper science as well, and I think that quite often clients can be a little bit lazy about the science, and it's a lot easier to look at a bottom line and say, we got this many spots in radio, or we got this many spots on TV, rather than understanding formulas like, if you say look at a TV commercial, which is what the really, really good media buyers do. They'll look at a TV commercial and they'll say, this TV commercial needs to be seen 3 times before it has an effect. So I could get to 1 million people one time and waste every single dollar that I spent. You need someone like David to understand, or to buy this media, to get past that perception by a client that they want to get the most people and the most number of spots. It's actually a more complicated formula than that. It's got to be the right number of spots to the most people that you can actually get that number of spots to. And it's so hard for lots of clients to understand that, and quite often people in my position and people in David's position don't understand this either, so they can't sell it to the client. So it's not entirely the client's fault. They can't make a client understand this. But for a client, it's much easier to look at it and say, I've got 100 spots, instead of going to someone and say, I spent the same amount of money, I spent the same $4,000 and I got 10 spots. But it's not about the spots, and it's very hard to make clients understand this. David just asked me whether I would recommend him to anyone else. Well, I have, and I do. And I do have some clients that buy through other media agents because they're on the mainland, and I'm working pretty hard to get them to swap over. I've seen some really interesting things with clients being blinded by salespeople and their need to reach a particular target and things like that. And we're gradually weaning some of our clients off that kind of relationship and moving them to someone like David. Some of them moved across, some of them not yet, but you can rest assured that that's what I'll be trying to do in the next few years, is to get them all moved to a place where they're actually buying the media in a place that makes sense through someone who understands that it's about getting the right people at the right time.